To Democratic Senator and candidate for President Amy Klobuchar. Senator Klobuchar, thank you for joining us. I want to start first with these ICE deportation raids. Can you, from your vantage point on the Senate Judiciary Committee, what is going on? Because as you heard, we didn't really get answers from Ken Cuccinelli.
What do I think is going on?
Yeah.
If you really wanted to go after security risks, and there are people who are security risks, why would you alert them and say you're doing this on a Sunday and do it 2 weekends in a row? Why? Because you want to make news, right? It's not about getting people who are security risks deported. It's about scaring everyone in the country. And it is also about changing the news from things like pharmaceutical prices that are going up in record levels, and this president has made endless promises that he's going to do something about it, or that he's going to do something about infrastructure. And we've got electric grids catching on fire, power stations, and levees bursting where I am right now in Iowa. That's what's happening right now, and that's what's happening to people in their real lives. So no, I don't think this makes sense. I think that you do want to deport people who are security risks to people in our country. That is true. I think that we need comprehensive immigration reform, and the president knows this, but he refuses to act because it'll piss off his base. Most of the country would like to get rid of this chaos and have a much more orderly process where you take people who are following the laws, who are working, who have been in this country for years, and allow them an arduous path to citizenship so they can keep working. We don't have enough workers in our fields and in our factories, in our nursing homes in the Midwest. This would be a much smarter way to do this, but instead, he simply wants that chaos and to distract people from the real things that they care about. He has not kept his promises. That is what I truly believe. He wants us to be talking about this today, and he uses these people as political pawns.
Now, Elizabeth Warren this week came out with a proposal following on what Julian Castro said in the debate to decriminalize unauthorized border crossings. You said you were going to look at that in the debate. Have you? Do you support that idea?
I support different enforcement priorities, and of course I'll look at this statute to see if you can make changes depending on the level of a security risk. But no, I don't support open borders and simply getting rid of this statute. I think the answer is to have a new president. The answer is when we are on the cusp of getting comprehensive reform done, which will be so much better for our economy. The 2013 bill brought the deficit down, according to every estimate, by over $150 billion in 10 years because people would start paying their taxes. Then you take some of that money and you can use it for better order at the border, for targeted reasons. And then you can also look at those countries that we're talking about where we've seen this surge of asylum seekers. Let them seek asylum in the countries where they are. The Obama administration allowed that in limited circumstances. Go back to that policy. That would help a lot. And then at the same time, work with our allies to get things under control in those countries. None of that is going on right now. Again, the president wants these images. He wants chaos because it distracts everyone from all of these other things we should be talking about. I promise you, Jonathan, that's what he wants. And it is so sad, this humanitarian crisis that is happening right now, which could be prevented by some smart policies when we've got people on both sides of the aisle that want to let the dreamers stay. That's 2 million people, right? You had Republican senators like Johnny Isakson and Mike Rounds leading the charge on that. Or the people who are here legally in temporary status, like the Liberian community in Minnesota who've been here for decades working in our hospitals and our nursing homes. They were just a few days away from deporting them this past year. So this is not what we stand for.
Well,
we need to move forward in our country. We need to move our economy forward. And I think you do that by tackling the challenges in front of us. Climate change, yes. Immigration reform, yes. Doing something about our health care costs. But instead, it's chaos every day. And the people in a state like this in Iowa, they are sick and tired of it.
So as you look at those images of the humanitarian crisis on the border from the vice president's trip, what's your reaction? You see 400 men, and that one, again, we only saw a sliver of what was going on. a place that was, pre-screened because the vice president was visiting it. What's your reaction to that?
I just think it is incredibly sad. I think that they got what they came for. They claimed that they were going to show us how great things were down there and all these things they had done. And then you saw these people in cages. That's why we've been pushing for standards in place by changing, as I just mentioned, the asylum process. And by stopping this chaotic policy, because what happens is the traffickers say to the people in those countries, hey, the president's changed the policy again, or a court changed it because the president did a policy that was illegal, and then they start coming up. That is the kind of chaotic policy that he has created.
But you heard,
once again, if you really talk to people...
You heard Ken Cuccinelli say basically it's your fault, it's Congress's fault. And in fact, the Republicans did have a $4.2 billion request back in February to have 52,000 additional beds at the detention facilities on the border. Was it a mistake for Democrats to oppose that back in February?
No, we just put out billions of dollars for the border, and they know that, and the president signed that into law, all right? He signed it into law, and he just did it. And there have been repeated efforts for bipartisan compromises on a number of things like infrastructure, like pushing on the pharmaceutical prices, like doing something on immigration reform. And instead, he likes to govern by tweet at 5 in the morning in his bathrobe. And I have been in the Senate long enough, including when George Bush was president, to see that you can get things done when people of good faith want to work together for the good of this country. I'm running for president because I truly believe that. I think the Americans are tired of, people in this country are tired of broken promises. They want someone that can look them in the eye and tell them the truth. And everyone knows from the Kavanaugh hearing that is something that I do well. And I think we need someone who has a track record of bringing people together, and this president just doesn't do that. He tries to divide people every single day. And the men in the cage, it's incredibly sad, but that is what he wants us to see.
So before you go, the fundraising numbers are due tomorrow. You clearly know how much money you raised in the second quarter. Can you tell us here?
We're going to put that all out tomorrow. I can just tell you that I am going to have enough money to win. We had a good first quarter, and we've continued to be smart about how we're spending our money. I know you're going to have another candidate on next, and
yes.
Yeah, I don't have the kind of money that he has, and I welcome him to the race. But I'm telling you, the American people already have one multimillionaire in the White House. I don't think that should be the only criteria of who gets to be elected in this country. I come from a different background. My grandpa was an iron ore miner. My dad was a newspaper man. My mom was a teacher. And America is about people who succeed, who come to the forefront and get things done.
Amy?
And I bet that they want something different than just having another wealthy person in the White House.
Senator Amy Klobuchar, thank you for joining us on This Week. Appreciate your time.